That's right. From Foreigner this week, it does. It feels like the very first time, but as we all know, it is not the first time. As we welcome you into episode number 100.
Man, that is awesome. That is so bad. It's awesome.
Episodes. Oh my God, that show was amazing. We've got so much to talk about. Alongside Bernie, I'm Jeff. Again, episode number 100 of BoarderLine. You know, it's funny because we started, like, I think once we hit 80, we are like, wow, you know what? We're kind of on our way. And boom, all of a sudden it's here. It's amazing how fast the time goes. I mean, truly it is.
I mean, 20 weeks, like, all right, say what you just said about, like, when we got to 80, it felt like, oh man, 100's around the corner, but that's still 20 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's still a good portion of the year to go. So it's been quite a ride, man. I tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you. I think we've kind of hit our stride. I think we were trying to find it there for the first, I would say 50. Are we doing the right thing? Is this how we want it to go? Yeah, right. But I think we've kind of hit our stride. So it's been an awesome second year for sure.
Yeah. All right. So incredible night a couple nights ago with Kathy. And of course, that was Kelly Hansen on lead vocals. Incredible. He's been with the band now for 18 years, took over for Lou Graham. Bruce Watson was playing that incredible Tobacco Sunbursts, beautiful electric Les Paul, Gibson Les Paul.
He's dorking out, kids. Here he goes. He's dorking out.
Jeff Pilson was on bass. Michael Bluestein was the guy in the keyboards in the back. Chris Frazier was incredible on drums.
Who were the original?
Luis Maldonado was the youngster on the other electric.
Who were the originals?
They were amazing.
Do you remember?
I think Jeff Pilson was close to. I mean, it's tough because Kelly's been with him now for almost 20 years. I think it's been 18 years. But the big front man was Lou Graham. Lou Graham was the guy that everyone knows. They've had different musicians here and there, but incredible show. But real quick, before we go any further, speaking of Foreigner, and of course I went with Kathy as you saw on Instagram. Great little early birthday present for me. So speaking of which, Miss Kathy is right here, Bernie, and she's got
wow. Are you kidding me? That is awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
Look at that cake.
Yeah,
man, that is awesome.
The S got a little bit messed up, but it's okay. Wasn't Foreigner amazing?
Foreigner's awesome.
Foreigner's great.
I knew every word, every vibe.
That
I have to look at my watch to know what day it is, and
I think
I know all the words to the songs.
I know I had Foreigner 4 on cassette. I do know that. But I think that's the only Foreigner album I owned. Yeah. I mean, we were so young. I mean, like, they came out in the 70s. We were kids,
Right, yeah. By the way, I just realized I didn't give her my mic, so you probably couldn't hear her. But no. The only bad thing was, truth be told, is that Kelly Hansen, he was looking at you. Like, he was literally singing to her. We're about 6 or 7 rows back. You saw it.
I waved.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was a moment. There's a moment.
So that guy didn't come up and tap her on the shoulder and is like, "Hey, backstage, right this way."
Kathy's leaving. She says goodbye. What did you say?
So you didn't have that guy come up to Kathy? It's like, "Hey, backstage, right this way."
No, because they would have taken her backstage. I would have been left in row 6.
That's what I'm saying. There's that guy. There's the runner for every band.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to come backstage? Come on.
It's funny, you and I were talking about it, like Foreigner is to rock and roll music what you and I are to podcast, probably. I mean, just old dudes, just trying to survive. I mean, literally, Jeff Pilson, the bass player, was brought out in a wheelchair. The poor guy, something was going on with his health or with his legs, so they had to bring him out in a wheelchair. But still, he's sitting there in the wheelchair the whole time, just crushing it.
That is all right. I didn't even know that. I mean, that makes it even crazier. The fact that the dude up there in a wheelchair,
I know,
playing bass. Only a bass player can get away with that, by the way, right?
Yes.
You can't have a lead guitarist in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say he was. They brought him out in the wheelchair, put him on his stool, and then took him off in a wheelchair. Is what they did. So,
hey, man, if people are going to continue to give those folks money, like you paid money, you paid good money to go see Foreigner.
Yeah.
And the Rolling Stones are still on tour in their 80s. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy.
I told you, I mean, really, at my age now, now that I've reached a half a century, I mean, nothing makes me more happy than watching old dudes. Now, these guys aren't that old. I mean, I'm joking. I mean, I mean, but they're all in their 60s. I mean, well into their 60s. But I don't know if you could see. Bruce Watson was the guy with the blonde hair, kind of kinky blonde hair, and the or crimpy, whatever, curly hair,
Sure.
and the blue sunglasses. I mean, just up there, just killing. I mean, this show was. I told you, it's probably one of the top 5 shows I've ever seen. The pyrotechnics and everything. It was. They are still getting it done in their 60s, which gives me hope.
I hear you. I've got to take you out to more concerts because that can't be one of the best concerts you've ever seen.
It's my favorite band, though. I mean, it has been literally my dad and my uncle. My dad drove a GTO. My uncle drove a Trans Am, a T-top Trans Am. Both of them literally had 8-track of Foreigner that we would listen to when we were out cruising. So it was. So to me, it's
rock and roll, man. That is awesome. That dude. So, I mean, that's one of the quintessential American bands of the 70s.
I know, right?
And then into the 80s, right? Early 80s especially. But yeah.
So good. But anyway, as we bring it back, again, episode 100. Dude, I was
cake. I was so jealous. You're going to crush that cake.
I know. I hate that you can't have a bite. Like Kathy's like, should we have a piece? I'm like, nah, let's not. I don't want to rub it in. Like, he's gonna be sitting there. We're gonna be like, oh, the cake is so good.
Yeah. The funny thing is the way I feel today. The cake. I'm like, oh, cake.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later.
But yeah. So I was texting because Wally sent us a quick text and said congratulations on 100. And I told him I'm like, you guys are gonna get there before you know it.
Yeah,
it is right amazing when you think back on 100 episodes. And coming up later in the show, we've got so much to talk about. Our new power rankings are out after Rhode Island, and of course we have on, off, and in. And then also coming up later in the show, each of us are going to take 100 seconds to give our top 5 moments of BoarderLine over the last 100 episodes. But tough to do. But yeah, like you were saying, when you put it in perspective, Bernie, 100 episodes is one thing if you're doing it, a few times a week or Monday through Friday. But when you're doing it once a week, it's obviously 100 weeks. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time.
Basically coming on 2 years, right? That's pretty cool. Well, actually, it is 2 years, right? Because if you take in some holiday breaks here and there, I mean, two years we've been doing BoarderLine. It does not feel like it. By the way,
I know.
Tangent, it's what I do. Playing darts last night. Local establishment, they have a cornhole league, not affiliated with us. I actually took my business card, handed it out, blah, blah, blah. What? Kind of got some looks, man. Kind of got some looks.
Like, what kind of looks? What do you mean? Because you look so handsome with your shaved head?
Not so much. It was is that guy? Is that guy? That can't be that guy. So I think we had some BoarderLine fans throwing at 7 Mile Post last night here in Wilmington.
I love it. 100 episodes,
BoarderLine
100 weeks.
fans. Yeah.
Appreciate all the fans out there. I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't say thank you to
all
everyone who's been listening.
All 13 of them, all 13 people. Yeah. What you've done for us is really.
We might. I mean, after 100 episodes, we might be up to 20.
You're right. You're right. It's got to be 20. It's got to be 20.
It'd be nice to say that we had 100. Over 100, but
gained one an episode.
Yeah. Not sure that happened. But yeah, so later in the show we'll have our top 5 moments. We'll each get 100 seconds to give our top 5 moments in the show. But just real quick, going back to the beginning, it's so funny how this thing started because with me doing the TV broadcast with Trey and then doing TV with Anthony. And with me, you would have thought that the natural fit for a podcast would have been Trey and I doing a show together, or Anthony and I doing a show together. And Stacy kept saying, "I want you and Bernie to do a show together." And we're both like, "But why? Like we need Trey, we need Anthony, like we need somebody, put somebody on, who is actually a part of this world at a little higher level than both of us."
Yeah.
But I think that's what's made it work. Bernie, is that, I mean, well, for one thing, I absolutely love doing the show with you. I mean, I truly do. I look forward to it every week.
It's a highlight.
It's easy to do it. We've said many times we could do this show multiple times a week and maybe even Monday through Friday. I mean, the sport has kind of evolved to that level where we could do it. Plus we like to talk about other things, but it's been so great, brother. And yeah, kind of unlikely duo probably from the outset, but man, it's been so much fun. Truly enjoy it.
It's been a blast, man. I can't believe it's been 100 weeks. It's really hard to set in, but it's been so easy. I mean,
Yeah,
it really
I
has
know.
been.
I agree.
It's a highlight of the week for me to sit here. I mean, it's funny. I mean, we kind of get paid for this
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit, you know, and so it's like this is kind of like stealing money a little bit for me because this
Yeah.
is. I mean, you know, we should probably, you know, as much as we're around each other, especially during the busy time of the year, we should probably talk to each other once a week anyway. So might as well be on a camera.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean? So it's just been fun. It's
It really
really,
has.
it's been fun. You know, we started off with guests and we had a lot of guests, and I don't know how well that worked for us individually because I think I think you and I both like to vibe off people, right? I
Yeah.
think we like a little give and take with whom we're speaking with, and some of our guests just really weren't able to do that as well. You know, a question would be asked, you get a one sentence answer. Well, that's kind of
Right.
hard to kind of roll off with people, and I think that kind of once we got away from that, we were able to vibe a little bit more off of each other and kind of delve into a different part of what we do. Like, yes,
Yeah.
we're involved in the cornhole world, but we're involved in life itself, so we can talk about all that sort of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm with
rambling.
you. And
I'm rambling.
I think no, you're not. Actually, maybe you are, and that's why you're so good at doing podcasts. But I think maybe two things happen. You know, one of my favorite podcasts is Smartless,
Mhm.
and those guys do a great job, and they basically do a 3, 4, maybe 5 minute intro, and then they bring in a guest.
Yeah.
But to your point, the guests they're bringing in are Tom Cruise, Matthew McConaughey. I
Actors.
mean, they're
Yeah.
bringing in the top A-list people,
Right.
who can carry a show, and that's what makes that show so unique and so good. And then the other thing is that yeah, I mean, you and I just found that we just kind of had topics that we just really kind of felt passionately about, that we wanted to talk about. And I've mentioned this before on the show, but I think that's another thing that makes us unique, is that so many podcasts now do guests, right? So
Yeah.
many people. I feel like when we first started, not that we were first on the air, because we weren't. There were a lot of other podcasts and good podcasts, but they're
Yeah.
all interviewing the players. But you
Yep.
and I had real thoughts about the game, and I think that that's okay, that I'm not Trey and that you're not Anthony, because
Right.
we come at this, and I've said this before, we come at this. Yeah, we work for the ACL, but we are truly as much fans of watching all of the players play. We're fans of the sport as much as we are employees. So I think we
Right.
just come with a lot of excitement, and maybe some outside opinions of the sport that honestly players and management need to hear sometimes. It's good to hear
Absolutely.
from the fans, I think.
Absolutely. By the way, back to Smartless, the Bateman guy. I can't. All of a sudden, my brain's not.
Jason Bateman.
God, I love Jason Bateman. But let me get
Yeah.
your. Do you think he's a nice guy? Like in real life, do you think he's a nice guy, or do you see him being a little prickly?
So funny you say that, because that's actually a part of my top 5 moments in 100 seconds coming up later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never met him. I'd like to think that Sean Hayes and Will Arnett. Oh yeah, Will Arnett's
Yeah.
voice just makes me feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And Jason, maybe I like to think that they're all good guys. I don't know them personally though, but I do know from my experience. Not that I broadcast at a super high level, but I have met a lot of high level
Sure.
athletes and coaches, and a lot of times when you meet them, unfortunately, sometimes not the person you think they are. Why?
Yeah,
Why do you ask?
His personality, just the way that he comes off, and it's just every now and then you'll see kind of an off the cuff interview, and it's just you can see it that I had a conversation with Julie about this, and she was like, he probably just doesn't. He suffers fools lightly. Right. He's not going to be a guy that's really going to be enjoyable to talk to unless he feels you're on his level. Otherwise, he's probably going to be just the worst. And he's going to give you that kind of condescending just shot on the way out of a conversation too. And it's just, I love it.
Feel that
I
too
love
when I
it.
listen to the
Actually.
show.
Huh?
But I do too. Do you feel like that's part of his
Absolutely
character though on Smartless?
Absolutely, it's part of his.
I'm not
shtick,
sure how much he's actually like that.
But I
person,
think,
but it's funny.
I don't know. I
podcast.
don't know. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's why they like him in that podcast so much, because he is kind of that guy.
Yeah,
the
Will
other ones
Arnett
aren't.
Too.
I mean that's what that's probably how they became friends. Probably just doing that to each other at a party for 2 hours, and we're like, hey, we should do this with microphones.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, Well, it's like, I mean, that's kind of how this started, right? I mean, you,
Yeah,
me, and Stacy just kind of sitting around and having a drink and just kind of talking about the sport and what happened and where things should go and our thoughts on sports and on life and everything. And all of a sudden we're like, wait a second, we could just do this on a podcast. I mean,
we
that's
could just talk.
I think that the best ones out there are very just organic, right? And
Yes,
I think that's kind of what happened with this one.
I
So
would say
like
to
it or
the
not.
others. Yeah, I would say to the others that are trying to make it hundreds of weeks or whatever. You need to some of the guys out there. If I could give one bit of advice, not that anyone wants to hear it or cares, but be more organic. Relax. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be so. Like I noticed, especially when they're when they're new, it's so segmented. We were that way. Like it's so segmented. Like you're afraid to kind of just go. And I think that's when you get the best out of everybody is when it's just kind of flowing sometimes because all of a sudden you'll
Yeah.
say something that I really like or I'll say something that you may not really like and you want to come back. You know what I mean? And that's when it really starts to flow. And that's when I think it has legs. But that's my only piece of advice. Let it go sometimes.
I think that's great advice, and I will be 100% honest with you. It's still something that I struggle with a little bit because I think because in my brain is so segmented because for my entire 25 plus now career, it's always content
Sure.
break.
Sure.
Every segment has a beginning and an end. So I still feel like in my brain, I still feel like I'm doing things in segments. So
Oh,
you're
you
right. I
are. I
mean,
mean,
it's been tough for me to just
but
kind of
that's
just
why we
keep it going,
work.
let it ride.
But that's why we work. Otherwise, I would just be just talking about whatever. All of a sudden, 50 minutes is up, and we've gotten
True.
nothing accomplished.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
I mean, that's why we work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, we've got a ton to get to, but just real quick, just a couple things before we get to speaking of segments, we do have some serious segments to get to. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Again, we'll have our new power rankings are out after Rhode Island, on, off, and in, and then top 5 in 100 seconds. So all right. So real quick, so just thinking just before we came on, of maybe some like it's always good to switch things up a little bit. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
think of maybe some future segments. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite. This didn't make my top 5. Maybe it should have, but it didn't make my top 5 moments on the podcast. But one of my favorite moments was having Kat on with us, Kat Halbert.
Yes.
And kind of, and you talk about pull back the curtain. I had no idea. For those who didn't listen to the show, we were in Chicago, actually a little over a
2
year.
years.
It was like what,
Yeah.
4th of
Whenever. 2
July.
years. Was it last
Not
year or
this
2
year,
years ago?
year before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
Crazy.
yeah, so year and a half, whatever. So I didn't realize that while we were on TV behind the scenes, one of the guys from the fire department, I think it was actually the fire marshal or the chief or something like that, was at home, happened to be scrolling through the channels and didn't like something he saw on TV. So while we're on live, he was trying to shut us down. And so Curtis and Kat and I don't know, probably Fred and Stacy and everybody else had to try and keep it going while we were live on. We never know about stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I'm not just saying this to try and suck up to her. Kat's a true talent on the air. Like she has a great on-air energy, personality, and voice.
Yes.
And so what I was thinking is maybe it'd be fun to do like a segment with her once a month or once a quarter, and we could call it well,
Cat's
I've got
Corner?
2 titles for it.
Cat's Corner is great.
For those of you who have kids and you're listening to this, turn down the radio now. So what I'd really like to call the segment with Kat, because this is how she'd say it. You're never going to believe this shit. Like that needs to be the name. That needs to be the name of the segment with Kat. So whether we call it "You're never going to believe this," whatever. I mean, something with her behind the scenes, because
that would be fun.
I
do it.
I think we need to. Yeah,
I think she would love to do it. I think she would love to do it. I think this time of year is rough because there's not as many, we don't have as many tournaments going on that we're responsible for necessarily, or that she's got firsthand involvement in. But God, once we get going into next year, I think it would be great to have her on like once bi-weekly when we're going through that process.
How about well, I guess we're not really doing nationals anymore, right? I was going to say,
yeah, so eight huge events, right? So maybe we have her on after each event if she wants to do it.
Yeah, or maybe after every other one.
Yeah. Because she's,
yeah, I think she belongs. That story, the way that she told it, probably should. I could have put it in my top 5 because it's so much fun to talk about. But
Kat
really
hates
one of my
me.
favorite moments.
I am the biggest jerk to Kat. Because me, man.
You're not alone.
Yeah, no, I you know me. I'll kind of do some things every now and then just kind of poke the bear a little bit. Yeah, I know. I know, hard to believe, because she gets mad. I mean, Cat will get pretty angry.
Cat gets mad. I didn't.
Cat gets mad.
Anybody else?
And I love it because I get it. I completely understand it. So that's why I'm such a jerk sometimes, because I know how mad she is. I know why she's mad, and I'll just kind of, we'll poke. Because I just love to get the look I get back, and then I'm imagining what she's saying about me when she walks away. But
I think maybe that's why. I think I
love the energy she has and the fact that she wants everything to be perfect. I love that. Love that.
Truly is so talented. All right, so you're never gonna believe this shit with Cat. It's got to be the name of it, right? I mean, it has to be
either that or Cat's Corner. I think Cat's Corner is pretty cool, but see, that needs to be sponsored.
I guess that would be more.
That needs to be sponsored.
Yeah,
we got to get a sponsored.
Talk to the cornhole scenario people. Give them a call. The Cat's Corner with Cat Freeze or whatever.
She doesn't talk to people. You would have a better chance of speaking with her and getting that done. To be honest with you. I've reached out and it's been crickets. That's all you, man.
We have so many segments that are so good
that need to be sponsored, and people are
how about this one?
Not taking an opportunity.
My next idea: smoke break with Josh Keck. Right? I mean, just bring in something that he's just seen that's just outrageous. Because we got to get Josh on every once in a while, right? Yeah. So smoke break, and maybe that's sponsored by Fire.
I don't know. Great. That is great.
And then one more because we got to keep moving on. We got to do something like maybe some sort of segment with the rookies, and we call it like "Oh to be young again" because we're not.
Oh God,
I don't know.
Yeah,
people are probably out there like
you're a thinker, man.
Stupid.
Yeah. Smoke break and Cat's Corner are great ideas. However,
yeah. I like that.
Good Josh.
Hey, shout out to I don't think he'd mind me saying his name. Every once in a while, we do get messages on social media. So again, if you have any questions, any comments, whatever about the show, reach out to us on to Bernie or me on our Facebook pages. We don't do a great job of updating our social media with the BoarderLine page, only because we don't have a staff. But
there
anyway,
is a staff that's supposed to handle that stuff, but they don't care about BoarderLine.
Yeah, no. So reach out to us personally, and we'll get back to you. And Mike Brock reached out to me. Has honestly, Bernie, he has a great point. And Mike, we just don't have time. So I want to do your topic. I want to give it its justice and its due because I think it's important. So Mike, we will get to your topic later about the presence of players. And again, being a fan, watching the sport, he noticed something that I think is worth mentioning. So we'll talk about that next week, kind of a tease. And then finally, before we get into our segments, Mark Richards, congratulations on winning Rhode Island. I think, I don't know. Do you feel like Rhode Island a little bit of an asterisk because of I know the Carolina Conference was having their championship the same weekend. I don't know if
still played some pretty
other
good
ones
players
going on. So I don't know if it was exactly the cream of the crop. I mean, obviously outstanding,
not
players,
from top to
huge
bottom
names.
Yeah,
but,
not from top to bottom.
A little bit of the depth was taken away, right?
Yeah, but the top was still pretty good. And I'm going to talk. I'm that kind of segues into a later segment for me because I'm going to talk about Mark. Still beat some really good players. I think only 2 guys got to double figures against him all weekend, 9-0. Yes, the depth of talent may not have been there, but the top was still really top. It was top heavy.
Oh yeah,
and he
dominated. Mark had to go through at the end,
and he dominated folks.
Oh,
and so we'll just we'll talk about that later. I mean, we'll talk about it later. I mean, but Mark Richards is, and I'll say it forever. It's 2 words: devastatingly efficient.
Yeah, and
it just drives people crazy. It does. It gets under their skin, and it just drives them crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So, and one quick public service announcement for BoarderLine. We don't, again, because the staff is limited with the ACL. We don't have access to all kinds of information. Like I didn't realize that the Carolina Conference thing was going on until I saw it on Facebook, and I was texting with Jamie Graham this week and asked him how he was feeling and how he's doing. He's throwing really good, but it was a gauntlet, obviously, up in Rock Hill. And congratulations to Jake, by the way, for winning it. I mean, taking that down. That kid's amazing. But for any of you out there who have conference tournaments going on, if there's something big that happens, let us know. Message us. There's a guy who does a local radio show here in South Carolina. I shouldn't say local. I mean, it's a state of South Carolina. Phil Kornblut is his name. And Phil's been on the air forever, and he does this high school sports show. Well, as we all know in high school sports, they don't have an SID on site for all the high schools, so he relies on people to call him with information on who's playing good, what the rankings are. So again, whether you're on the West Coast or you're somewhere in the Great Lakes or in Texas or in the Carolinas or Florida, if you got a big tournament going on, you see something happen,
let us know.
Yeah, we don't know. We'd love to talk about it, and it would honestly help us with our rankings when we're doing our power rankings if we know that some of the stuff is going on. But we don't.
Yeah,
so.
Believe it or not, I try to kind of go through socials because I
do too, but it's a lot.
It's a lot, and I mean, and you don't get everything right when you go through social media. It is, you're only getting it's siphoned to you. You're not getting it's not in mass, right? So yes, I'm probably friends with. I should be able to get all that information, but it's not all going to come to my page. So it's very hard to scroll for it all. So it's,
I mean, 256 Facebook pages, plus all the conference directors. There's no way to possibly do that.
Yeah.
So again, if there's something big going on, just send us like top 10 results would be great. I would love to know who, like, I still don't know. I know 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 up in Rock Hill with Carolina Conference. But just to get the top 10 results from those would be great.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Help a brother out.
Help a brother out.
All right, man. We are almost a half an hour in already.
That's what we do.
Hard to believe. All right. So we've got our new, speaking of which, we got our new power rankings. We thought we'd do one this week after the Carolina Conference, and more importantly, I shouldn't say more importantly, but as well as the Rhode Island Open, the third Open, and then on, off, and in might take a minute. And then, of course, we got our coming up, we got our top 5 moments in 100 seconds to commemorate, again, episode number 100 of BoarderLine. For the first time ever doing this show, I was a little nervous coming on. A little nervous.
Really?
Yeah,
just because of the
it's a big deal. Like I've never done a podcast. Well, I mean, I did a podcast on my own through the pandemic,
right?
But I've never done a podcast for this long. And episode 100 is kind of a big deal. Like before we signed on, I'm like, wow, this is
kind of a big deal.
It's a milestone. Yeah,
we're kind of a big deal in our little world of cornhole, Jeff. This podcast, we joke about our fandom, but people are paying attention. People listen. Now, I think we've almost reached that level where we've become a little bit like the Colin Cowherds of cornhole, that I think half the people are listening just to disagree with us. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm that way with Colin. I love half of what he says, and then I think he's out of his mind on the other half of stuff that he says. And I think that people kind of think of us that way too, in our own, because we're opinionated. We're opinionated guys.
I do love that. Yes, we are. And that's a great point, Bernie, because I feel like Nick Wright, who I worked with in Kansas City. I was doing the morning show in Kansas City. He was actually doing the midday show in Kansas City on 610 Sports. And he was just a young kid. I mean, just a young punk kid, but so hungry to learn, right? So hungry to learn. And boy, did he rocket himself all the way up to the top of ESPN and now Fox with his sports talk radio and First Take and all that kind of stuff. However, I feel like he really made a name for himself by basically taking Colin's content and disagreeing with it. I mean, that's really how he made a name for himself. Truly.
Right. You're right.
I mean, brilliant.
I mean, it is, because Colin knows what he's doing, and this is the genius of Colin. He plays to the big markets, and then he does that on purpose. Big markets always love that, so you're going to get the most people loving you. And then everyone else hates the big markets, right? Like the amount of time he talks about New York sports and LA sports drives me insane, especially when none of them are relevant. Right. Yeah. But he's making them relevant.
He's making $100 million.
Right. Because he's playing to these. Yeah. He's playing to those markets. And then everyone else I get mad about it. I'm like, really? Jets and Giants? You're just going to talk about them when they're just terrible? I mean, they're literally terrible, and you're going to talk about them anyway.
Right.
Like they're not even part of the discussion, but you're making them part of the discussion. I could go on and on about it, but it's genius, right? Who cares? Like, let's say the Panthers were good. No one would talk about the Panthers. Literally, like if they only had one loss, if their record was completely flip flopped, there'd be some talks about Bryce Young because he's from an Alabama quarterback. But other than that, no one would care. It's Charlotte, right. But they would talk about the Jets, right? They'd talk about the Giants, and they're irrelevant, but they're still going to be talked about because it's New York. It's crazy.
Yeah, they would rather talk about the Jets being bad than about the Panthers being good at all.
100%. And it makes sense. There's 10 million people listening up there. There's not 10 million people in the state of North Carolina. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense, but it is frustrating at times.
Right.
I don't like, you know what? I've got to get off this. I could talk about Colin forever. I don't like when he talks college football because I don't think he knows enough. And isn't that something? I don't like I think he's great with pro sports. I'm not sure he knows enough about college sports to talk about it. I mean, I wouldn't consider him an expert on any of that.
Yeah. Again, I feel like he knows the big teams, but
like I think he's still salivating, waiting for USC to be good again. And then he can talk about USC all the time. Right.
And now he's bailed on them because USC's been
exactly
good.
Can't play defense like North Carolina.
All right. Are we ready?
We are ready. Which one are we going to?
Let's get to the meat of the show here.
Yep.
So you want to start with power rankings?
We can.
I'm a little confused. I'm still trying to get clarity on only because we each have had him in our top 10. I actually tried to reach out to him and did not hear back, but Justin Burton Jr. played and finished in the money in doubles, did not in the singles. I saw a couple of pictures of him asleep on one of the tables up there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he didn't play singles, if he wasn't feeling good. I tried to reach out to him to see what happened, but I've not heard back from him yet. But that being said, I think I can still do my top 10, and I'm not going to have him in it only because until I hear what happened, I'm going to keep him up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my top 10. Yeah. All right. So can I preface our top 10s?
Yeah, I just prefaced mine.
I'm still struggling with people in the top 10 that are just playing well right this second versus people that I think are going to be there at the end, who I think are the actually 10 best players. And I'm struggling with that because I've got a mixture, but I'm struggling with it. I really am.
My theory is I'm with you, and it's getting harder and harder, right? And this year is going to be harder than ever. But I'm trying not to overthink about it. Just pick 10 dudes that you want to go to war with right now. I mean, you don't have to think of that. That's kind of how I'm feeling. Like if I got to pick 10 players right now, and there's so many to choose from, but if I got to pick 10 right now, who are you choosing right now? I guess that's kind of the way I've been.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. Actually, I cheat a lot, so I'm cheating with my top 10 list. I have in my 10 spot, I have a tie.
Okay.
I've got Jake Gore. I thought really impressive again. I mean, I don't know. Should he be high? This is one of those, like, should he be higher right now on my list than he is at 10? I don't know. But I've got him tied with Ryan Windsor. And I think Ryan Windsor is taking a step. And I think he's taking a huge step back to kind of being one of those guys in the pro division. And I mean, it's kind of a slip in there at 10. But I've got Jake and Ryan tied at number 10. I've still got Devin Harbaugh in my top 10, and result-wise, I'm not sure in singles he should be there yet. But I feel at the end of the season, and just from a pure talent, arm, bag perspective, he's got to be there. So I've got Devin.
I totally agree, Bernie. I totally agree with you on that. I'm struggling with him as well. Like, yeah,
but
I get it.
He just has to be. I mean, I think if you took a poll of all 256 pros and said, "Give me your top 10," he's going to be in everybody's top 10 probably just because of his talent.
Yeah.
I just, it's just hard to wrap my head around some of the results at times. Number 8, which is always my kind of mystery number. I've actually got Alex Rawls in at number 8. So, had some health issues off the boards, kind of pushing him back. I don't know where that puts him. Does it do anything to him? Does he come back better? Does it, take him 6 months to get back to where he was? Once again, last season, the most quiet number 2 ranking of all time, probably in a season. But I'm keeping him in at number 8 because that's my kind of gift slot that I have in my top 10. Number 7, Caleb Batson. I still think arm, bag talent, the kid's just that good. I don't know if his results put him there, but I just think at the end of the year, he's going to be that guy. Number 6, JBJ. I've still got him in there. I still think he's that guy. And I know that once again, if I'm going off right this second, should he be in there? Probably not. But I just think when we get through the season, he's going to be still going to be a top 10 player. Number 5, Ryan Trader.
Oh my gosh! Welcome to the power rankings.
Welcome to the. I mean, he's been winning events. He's been taking down big player after big player after big player. I don't know if anyone's playing better in the game on the planet right this second than Ryan Trader.
I don't hate it.
And so that's a guy that I'm putting in because right now he's one of the best 10 players in the world, and you can't There's no way that you can talk me out of it when you look at his results.
Yep, I'd be lying to you if I didn't think about him when I was doing mine too.
Number 4, Fisher Hamilton, the big fish. I don't know if this is as high as he'll be. He might go higher by the end of the year, but I've got him at number 4. Number 3, Jamie Graham. I still have him there. I still think, when the rubber meets the road and we're going to be at the end of the season in the World Championships, are we going to see Jamie Graham in the Final Four? Probably.
Yeah.
That's just who he is. And I think
if you're going to war with a guy right now, I feel like he's got to be in there.
Yeah. And then number 2 and number 1, they're doubles partners. I've got Tony Smith, number 2, and Mark Richards is still Mark Richards, number 1. When the only 2 guys got to double digits against him last week. And yes, maybe the depth of talent wasn't necessarily there, but it was still top heavy. He was still going through guys like named Fisher Hamilton and Tony Smith twice. And, the guy is just devastatingly efficient. He knows how to win, and he knows how to keep people frustrated because he doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think it gets under people's skin, and they just eventually just kind of fade away from him. So that's my top 10.
To me, he's the equivalent of the Atlanta Braves pitching staff, all of them back in the 90s. How about a Tom Glavine? I mean, Tom Glavine topped out at what, 88?
He threw low 90s.
If he threw 90s, Bernie, he's just touching it.
I know, maybe 92 was as hard as he could go.
Yeah, maybe, but hitting the corners. Hitting the corners guy. I mean, that was the Braves pitching staff, with some of those starters back
in the 90s.
Maddox. Mark Richards. Mark Richards, he paints the corners. It's incredible.
Yep.
All right. You've sold me on Justin Burton Jr. I just made a quick little adjustment on mine because I think you're right. I mean, I would like to have heard from him just to see what happened, but he did play in doubles. All right. So number 10, I'm gonna keep my number 10 the same with you, Jake Gore. And to win like he did last weekend, I love that kid. He's just, I love his game physically as much as I do mentally. I just feel like he's just a tough kid and getting better, obviously, as he matures as well. Number 9, I'll throw in Justin Burton Jr. I'll keep him in the top 10 because, again, going with what I was just saying, if I got to pick somebody, he's got to be on my list if I got to do a top 10. So Justin Burton Jr., number 9. Then we get to Devin Harbaugh, and you said it best. He finished in the money in singles. He finished, second in doubles. Is he a top 10? Are there a couple other people I might throw in there? Maybe. But I don't know. I have a tough time taking him out.
It's the talent. The talent just screams at you.
Yeah. So Devin Harbaugh, 8. Kyle Malone, I've got him at 7. I feel like right now, if I got to grab 10, I feel like I'd be missing out if I didn't take Kyle. I just feel like he's going to battle. Number 6, this guy could be scary. He could be really scary. And he tied for 5th in the money in singles in Rhode Island. Got first in doubles. I've mentioned him before. I think I put him in my last power rankings. Gavin Cano.
Yes.
I just feel like he is just a dangerous player.
Yep.
Number 5, Jamie Graham. Number 4, Fisher Hamilton. I've got Caleb Batson all the way up to number 3, Bernie. He's one of those guys I like to follow, right? I've always loved watching Jamie play. I love watching Justin Burton Jr. play. I love watching Caleb Batson play. And I do feel like the results are there for him. And he obviously had a huge weekend. So Batson, number 3, and then same as you. Tony Smith, number 2, and Mr. Atlanta Brave, Mark Richards, number 1.
I'm sure he's gonna hate that analogy.
He'll probably like it. He's such a sports guy. He might like it.
But he might not be a Braves fan. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He really is Greg Maddox.
Greg Maddox. Yeah, Greg. That's another
he's
one.
more like Greg Maddox. I know Maddox didn't top 90.
Yeah,
and he would just he would change speeds on you, hit the corners, always have you frustrated. I mean, he's just
even
that
better.
guy.
Yes,
he
you're
is
right.
Greg. Yeah.
Even better comparison.
And kind of unassuming in a way.
Yeah.
The way that Maddox was, kind of. I think that's a great analogy.
All right, brother. We're already in trouble with time if we're going to get to our top 5 and 100. We still got to do on, off, and in, so we got to make on, off, and in quick. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, on, off, and in. You want to go first again, or you want me to?
Sure, I will. We're going to do on the board.
Yep.
And I know some people are going to disagree with this. That's why it's on the board, not in the hole. After a night of drinking, Waffle House, Taco Bell, still undefeated. Those are the two go-tos. I don't care what anyone says about the food. They're great. You're wrong. But I know some of you disagree. That's why it's only on the board. Waffle House,
Dude,
Taco Bell
nachos
are
Bel
so
Grande
good.
and a
Come on.
Coca-Cola. Oh,
Come on, man.
I'm with
3
you.
egg scramble with cheese, some hash browns covered and chunked, and a side of country ham. Done.
Oh, yeah.
Top it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Love it. All right, off the board.
Yeah, off the board, drinking. So last night I was talking to you about this. Julie and I are going to see each other for a few days. We decided to go. We play darts. It's kind of one of the things that we do. Drank too much, and I just, I'm not good. I don't drink well. Alcohol just does not, like, my brain today, like, absolute, just, I'm completely out of it. The fact that I'm maintaining during this show, like I've almost fallen asleep twice during the show while we've.
Well, see, that's my fault. That has nothing to do with the alcohol.
No, it's just my brain is done. So drinking, off the board, can't do it. My in the hole, Mark Richards, devastatingly efficient. He's the best player in the world. He just finds a way to make the other best players uncomfortable, and that's super hard to do the way that he does it. So Mark Richards, #1 in the world. That's my in the hole.
Yeah, and he just stays the course, right? I mean, it's going to be a 5-set match every time you play him.
Yep.
All right. So my on the board is, believe it or not, my picks, and I wish that I could do this all the time, but I hit another parlay this weekend.
Let's go.
What I've done is I'm just trying to keep it simple. And I'm not forcing it. So if I see a line that I question, I'm just not biting on it anymore. And I'm looking at two things. I'm looking at quarterbacks. And I'm looking at coaches. And then I guess and I guess kind of an old time Vegas saying of don't buck the trends. Like the 49ers were an easy pick for me this weekend because I know they were trendy pick to pick against them, but they're the 49ers. They've been one of the top teams in the NFL, and they can't just all of a sudden just fall off the map, right?
Right.
So I mean, so I picked them. I just didn't overthink it. So the Vikings I hit,
good for
the
you,
Steelers
man.
I hit, and the 49ers I hit, the Raiders I got, and then Buffalo killed me. I mean, come on.
What's going on there?
And I love those guys, right? I mean, we had so much fun with them doing the Super Bowl thing out in Topeka.
I don't think it's the defense's fault.
No, so I kind of no. And Tim Settle's been getting after it. I mean, he really has. The defense forced a turnover late. The offense just can't get it going. But so Buffalo killed me. But other than that, I don't know. So
I could get into
on
that.
the board with my picks, not in the hole. If it was in the hole, I'd love it. But on the board. Yeah. All right. Off the board. Oh gosh, man, I got to make this quick. I wish we could spend more time on this. My off the board. That old saying, playing your best at the end of the season, I always thought was just kind of a broadcaster thing to say, almost like a coach speak type of thing. Yeah. But man, I looked it up. Kansas last year, national UConn last year, and Kansas, right? Both won 15 of their last 17 to end the season. UConn, of course, is the national champion. KU the year before, same thing, won 15 of the last 17. Yep. The Texas Rangers went 14-7 down the stretch, and of course went 11-0 on the road. Kansas City Chiefs, before winning the Super Bowl, they won 13 out of 14. The Rams 2 years ago won 9 of their last 10. The Denver Nuggets went 17-4 down the stretch before they won the World Championship. And then to bring it back to cornhole, Jamie Graham. Look what he did in the singles World Championship, right? Really struggled at one point during the season, was playing his best cornhole at the end of the year. And won the World Championship. So I always thought that was just kind of coach speak and kind of dumb. Turns out maybe it's true.
No, absolutely right. I mean, and that's why when you have tournament formats, you could have a team that was just so dominant all year long, and then they've got a little bit of a slip up. You get in a tournament format, you're done. The hot team's going to beat you every time. They're playing, And there's something to be coached, coaches that deal with that. I mean, we could talk about this forever. Like coaches that kind of guide their teams late instead, are willing to lose early to win late.
Yep. So that's my off the board. And then my in the hole, just for the sake of time, real quick, BoarderLine. Again, it was something that we wanted to do from the very beginning. You and I talked about this, just having a beer at the bar for a long time. Yep. And Stacy jumped in on it. Love the idea. So appreciate him trusting us. And in the hole on BoarderLine. Love it.
Let's go.
So much fun. All right. My signal's getting low, so hopefully that means that I'm still on the air. See, this continues to be my number one fear.
And it's there
during the show.
It's always mine at the beginning. And then,
and then it goes beginning, and then mine as we're going along. The signal's always low. All right, so here we go to wrap up the show again. Episode number 100 of BoarderLine. We thought we'd do something fun. In 100 seconds, we each get 100 seconds to go over our top 5 favorite moments over the last now 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you get 100 seconds, which is basically 1 minute 40 seconds. Give your top 5 moments. You want to go first since you've been going first today?
I will. I don't know if I
ready?
can last 100 seconds, but here we go.
Oh, you will. It's going to go fast. Ready? Here we go. 100 seconds in 3, 2, 1, go.
Number 5, right now, episode 100. I thought about it. I mean, how cool is that? You know, we have a cake that comes on early. The fact that you lead in with Foreigner. I mean, come on. It's our 100th episode. Basically 2 years of BoarderLine. You can't do any better than that. Number 4, that little thing that we had going. We were talking about First Class, that show. And we were going back, like I went back and watched that. That's actually really funny. That's actually really, really funny stuff. And that's one of my favorite things because we were just kind of going. It had nothing to do with anything. And I thought it was comic gold for about 5 minutes there. Number 3, when we were live at Shamar's house. I just thought that was a great setup. It was just a huge event. Shamar letting us be on his couch out in his pool room, joining us for the show. I just thought that was a really, really cool episode. I don't know. It kind of made me feel like, hey, man, BoarderLine's kind of cool. Here we are in a Hollywood home, kind of enjoying the whole lifestyle. I don't know. It was awesome. Number 2,
30 seconds. Number
2 is when we had Ryan McGee on. And there was a moment there. There was a moment there talking with him. I was like, you know what? I could talk sports with this dude all day. Literally all day and just enjoy it. So I loved having him on. Number 1, first episode. We actually made it from number 1 all the way to 100. I think you have to have number 1 and number 100 in there because they're so important. And that is my top 5 moments in 100 episodes of BoarderLine. How'd I do?
Oh, you did it in 3, 2, 1, boom, with 3 seconds to spare. Top 5 moments in 100 seconds.
Let's go.
I like it. All right, and here we go with mine. Ready? In 3, 2, and mine's similar to yours. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, number 5, SWAT guys, and I'm gonna throw Shamar, I'm gonna throw David Lim and Odie in there as well.
Absolutely.
Shamar, it was great to have a Hollywood superstar on with us. Love doing that. I mean, obvious. David Lim, we got some really good conversation out of him.
Yes.
I mean, he talked about how important his race is to him and how much he's trying to be a trailblazer in Hollywood.
Yes.
On the race side of things. I thought that was a really honest and open conversation. And Odie, just incredible. Odie is, right? I mean, he's the weapons technical advisor. Yep. He's a veteran. He was a cop for so many years, and he's so passionate about the game. I mean, he really makes that show. He makes that show look the way it does. So that's my number 5. Number 4, this goes out to all the bag manufacturers. I'm going to mention one, but I mean, from talking with Jason McCannon, right, when he created the super team with Matt and Jamie, I think it changed kind of the trajectory of things. I thought our conversation with Mark Pryor was fascinating about the evolution of the bag. And talking to Mark, he gives Chad Littlewood and a lot of the other bag manufacturers a lot of credit. But man, the way that things changed basically from 2007 to 2017 with the evolution of the bag, our bag manufacturers, brilliant. I loved all of our conversations, especially our one with Mark Pryor and talking about aerospace engineering and bringing that into the sport.
Crazy.
Number 3, oh my God, I got to hurry. Anthony Ione. I love Anthony, and I love his story. So powerful. From cancer in his family, family alcoholism, poverty, suicide, all those things he had to battle through to be on TV and be on ESPN. Congratulations. Jacob Trzynski, everything that he had to battle through with his anger injury, just anger management stuff and anxiety. I thought that was powerful. And then finally, oh man, I just hit my 100 seconds. Well,
it's hard.
This will be a good way to wrap it up because we only got 40 seconds left anyway. Stacy and Trey. Every time we have them on, it's just amazing. I'm a smarter person. I'm a better person every time I talk to them. Trey's interview that we had about gambling was incredible. Stacy's last interview, we threw some hard questions at him, about what do you do about drugs? What do you do about alcohol? The future of the sport. It's tough, right? It's tough. It's a growing sport. There's a lot of growing pains. He's very honest with us. So Stacy and Trey, anytime we have them on, it's gold. Absolutely love it.
Way to go, man. Way to go. It's hard. That's what I'm saying. It was very difficult. I had to substitute one of mine because I knew once I started talking about one of the subjects, I was just going to go. And so I had to get away from it.
Tough. We need a lot more time. All right, 5 seconds left. Bernie, I love you, brother. I've had so much fun. Man. 100 episodes. Congratulations. And here's to 100 more.
Let's go. Come on.
All right, dude. Have a good week. I'll talk to you next week.
See you, bud.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Truly appreciate it.
See ya.